Assalamualaikum and very good morning, girls. Okay, let's continue our lesson today with the 7.3 fermentation. Okay, what is a fermentation? Fermentation is the alternative pathway, alternative pathway to obtain the energy besides cellular respiration. Okay, let's go to the learning standards that you have to cover for today. Okay, number one, state the factors that cause fermentation to occur in cells. Okay, cause of fermentation. Yeah. Okay. Then explain by using examples energy production from glucose during fermentation in human muscle cells, in the lactobacillus species, in the yeast, and also in the plants such as paddy. Okay, number three, write and explain word equation for lactic acid fermentation and also alcohol fermentation. Okay, then number four, conduct an experiment. Okay, later we will discuss about it. Okay, and then number five, compare and contrast aerobic respiration and fermentation. Okay, so we go to the fermentation. Okay, what is the fermentation actually? Okay, before that, I want you to look to take a look on this diagram. Okay, so what is this? So this is referred to the pickles. Pickles. Merujuk kepada jeruk. Okay, so pickles are produced from the fermentation process. Okay, fermentation is the incomplete breakdown of the glucose in condition of limited oxygen or without oxygen. It is referred to the incomplete breakdown. If aerobic, it is a complete breakdown. But if fermentation, it is the incomplete breakdown of glucose in condition of limited oxygen or without oxygen. Okay, it is different from the aerobic because the process occurs with a limited oxygen or without oxygen. Okay, fermentation is different from the aerobic respiration in its metabolic pathway after glycolysis stage. Right? Okay, so fermentation is different. It's different after glycolysis stage. Okay. After glycolysis, the pyruvate produced will undergo either alcohol fermentation or lactic acid fermentation. Okay, so let's take a look on the diagram here. Okay, so the glycolysis occurs in the cytoplasm. Okay, fermentation occurs when the glucose, the glucose is broken down incompletely, secara tidak lengkap or not complete. Okay, the glucose is broken down, not complete, it's not complete into pyruvate molecule. So this process occurs in the cytoplasm. If for aerobic, respiration, the pyruvate that produced from the glycolysis will enter into the mitochondria and will be proceed to the oxidation of the pyruvate, but not to the fermentation. Okay, so the pyruvate here, the pyruvate here will undergo fermentation also in the cytoplasm. Okay, the pyruvate produced in the glycolysis, undergo fermentation. Undergo fermentation in the cytoplasm. Alright, okay, so there are two types of the fermentation. Okay, what are they? Lactic acid fermentation, and that occurs in the muscle cells, our muscle cells during vigorous activities, and also lactobacillus bacteria and other examples. And the second type of fermentation is alcohol fermentation, that occur in yeast and also plant. Okay, let's go to the two types of the fermentation. Okay, first type of the fermentation is alcohol fermentation. Yeah, okay, so this is referred to the word equation of the alcohol fermentation, yeah, whereby glucose is not completely broken down into ethanol. Yeah, into the ethanol. Ethanol is one of the alcohol, yeah, is the alcohol, yeah, into the ethanol and also produce carbon dioxide and energy. Okay, the amount of the energy produced is only 210 kilojoule. Yeah, 210 kilojoule. Okay, this is referred to the word equation of the alcohol fermentation. Yeah, please remember that. Yeah, so the glucose is broken down without oxygen. Yeah, and it is not complete. Yeah, into ethanol plus carbon dioxide plus energy. Okay. Okay, let's go to the examples of the alcohol fermentation. Okay, yeast. Okay, yeast is one of the microorganism. Yeah, okay. So the fermentation of yeast will produce ethanol. Yeah, okay. Ethanol is used in the making of beer and wine. Yeah, ethanol that produced by the fermentation of yeast is used to make a beer and wine. Okay, the release of carbon dioxide makes the bread to rise. Yeah, okay, so this refers to the bread. Okay, how does the dough, yeah, the dough rise? Okay, because of the carbon dioxide release during yeast fermentation. Yeah, during the yeast fermentation. Okay, what about the alcohol fermentation in plants? Yeah, plants also carry out alcohol fermentation. Okay, so paddy plants that grow in waterlogged area with less oxygen. Yeah, okay. So the paddy plant okay grow in the waterlogged area, kawasan air yang bertakung ya, with the less oxygen are able to carry out alcohol fermentation. Yeah, alcohol fermentation. Ethanol produced in the tissue during the fermentation process is toxic. Yeah, it's toxic to most plants. Yeah, but the cells in paddy plants have a higher tolerance. Have a higher tolerance for ethanol compared to other species. Yeah, okay. So that's why the paddy plant can still can tolerant to the ethanol. Yeah. Okay, paddy plant produce plenty of alcohol dehydrogenase enzymes. Yeah, okay. So that can break down ethanol molecule into non-toxic carbon dioxide. Okay, so that is a special feature of the paddy plant. Yeah, the paddy plant have a type of the enzyme called as alcohol dehydrogenase enzyme that can break down ethanol into the carbon dioxide, which is non-toxic. Okay, yeah. Okay, so second type of the fermentation is lactic acid fermentation. Yeah, lactic acid fermentation. Just now, we already discussed about the first type of the fermentation, which is alcohol fermentation. Now, we will discuss the lactic acid fermentation. So, this is referred to the word equation of the lactic acid fermentation. Okay, please notice here that glucose is broken down not complete yeah, or incomplete into lactic acid into the lactic acid plus energy. So there is no carbon dioxide produced here. Yeah, please be noticed that no carbon dioxide produced in the lactic acid fermentation. Yeah, so it just produces lactic acid plus energy. Okay, so examples of the lactic acid fermentation is in the lactobacillus species. Okay, so lactobacillus is a type of bacteria. type of the bacteria. Okay. So the bacteria lactobacillus carries out milk fermentation to produce yogurt. Okay. So carry out milk fermentation to produce yogurt. Okay. So the lactobacillus is a good bacteria. It's a good bacteria that carry out milk fermentation to produce yogurt. So that's why yogurt, the taste of the yogurt is sour, because of the presence of lactic acid. Okay, lactobacillus act on the lactose, act on the lactose, okay, in the milk sugar, okay. So we already learned about the lactose. It is a milk sugar, okay. That the sugar that the monosaccharide that can be found in the milk. Okay, so the lactobacillus act on the lactose and turns it into lactic acid. Okay, the lactic acid will then coagulate, into coagulate casein, to produce yogurt. Okay, it will coagulate to produce yogurt. The lactic acid is the source of the sour taste in yogurt. Okay, next example, the lactic acid fermentation is in the human muscle cells. Okay, this is referred to the popular questions in the SPM. So please understand, yeah, please understand the lactic acid fermentation that occurs in the human muscle cells. Okay, during vigorous training. During vigorous training. Vigorous training ni merujuk kepada aktiviti yang lasak. Aktiviti yang lasak. Okay, the rate of oxygen used exceeds the oxygen supply by the blood circulatory system. Okay, I repeat, the rate of oxygen used exceed, melebihi the oxygen supply to the body, to the cells. Okay. The muscle is in an oxygen deficiency state. The muscle now is in oxygen deficiency state. Otot kita dalam keadaan kekurangan oksigen and is set to undergo oxygen debt. Okay. So the oxygen debt is only occur during vigorous activity only. Okay, it's not occur when we rest. It just occur. Oxygen debt is occur during vigorous training or vigorous activity. Okay. So during this process, glucose cannot break down completely. Okay, so during this process, the glucose cannot break down completely. Okay, and then for each glucose molecules that is broken down, only 2 ATP molecules or 150 kilojoule energy will be produced. Okay, what do you mean by that? Glucose down is broken down, into 2 molecule of ATP only, equal with the 150 kilojoule of energy. Okay. So that was different from the aerobic respiration. If in aerobic respiration, 1 molecule of the glucose molecule can produce 38 molecule of ATP. But in the lactic acid fermentation in the muscle cells, the 1 molecule just can be broken down into 2 molecule of ATP only. So the product lactic acid, okay. So the lactic acid, refer to the lactic acid, the produced lactic acid accumulate, okay. Lactic acid ini akan berkumpul, until it reach a level of concentration that can cause fatigue and muscle cramp. Fatigue ni merujuk kepada badan kita merasa penat, lesu, letih, terlalu letih. And muscle cramp. Muscle cramp ni merujuk kepada otot menjadi kejang. Okay. Why? Because of the accumulation of the lactic acid in the muscle cells. Okay, so once the vigorous activity stops, the intake of excess oxygen will oxidize the lactic acid into carbon dioxide, water, and energy. Okay, so after the vigorous activity stops, okay, usually we take a deep breath. Ya, we take a deep breath. Kita akan menarik nafas yang panjang. So now the lactic acid fermentation in the muscle cell will stop, and it will be continue with the aerobic respiration. So the intake of the excess oxygen will oxidize, the lactic acid that produced just now, from the training, from the vigorous activity into carbon dioxide, water, and energy. Okay, so when all the lactic acid has been expelled, the oxygen that is said to be repaid. Oxygen that is repaid. Okay. So that's all referred to the lactic acid fermentation that occur in the human muscle cell. Okay. So this is referred to the graph that represent the oxygen trap, that occur, yeah, oxygen trap that occur during the vigorous activity. Okay, so in the beginning of the exercise, at the beginning of the exercise, okay, so this is referred to the oxygen intake. The oxygen intake will be increased, increase, and then it will become exceed. The oxygen intake will exceed than the oxygen supply. So what happened? It will cause lack of oxygen. Yeah, lack of oxygen in the muscle cells. So we can say that oxygen tap occur. Oxygen tap occur here. Alright. Okay, and then at the end of the exercise, okay, at the end of the exercise, okay, uh, the aerobic respiration will carry out, and then the intake of the oxygen occur. What happened to the lactic acid? Lactic acid is converted into carbon dioxide, energy plus water. So slowly oxygen that is repaid. Oxygen that is repaid here. So this is referred to the recovery process. Okay, this is referred to the during exercise. Okay, so at the end of the recovery, the breathing rate will become to the normal. Okay, the breathing rate, the heartbeat rate also normal. Alright. Okay. So that's all referred to the lactic acid fermentation that occur in the human muscle cells. Okay. Similarities. Okay. So I think that's all. That's all for today's class. We will continue our lesson. Our discussion on the next class. Okay, so take care everyone. Alright, stay safe. Okay, please study more and more. Alright, until you understand this subtopic. Okay, so that's all. Thank you.